Okay, welcome back to the shop. So today we got something kind of gross. We got something that we're going to try and fix up here. No idea what happened to this thing. Paid next to nothing for it, and see if we can fix it. It's one of those things you get stuff that needs to be fixed, and if you get it cheap enough that you can get the parts that you think it needs, you see if you can fix it. So let's see what we can do. So first off, when you're on a search and rescue mission like this, what I like to do is I like to look at things. We got the board here. I don't see anything that looks like it's damaged other than the board took an impact. The trigger switch doesn't look like it's gotten overly abused, and none of the wires are melted or shorted coming into the board. So carefully we can take a battery and just see what we get here. I already metered this. I'm not going to meter it on screen. I know that it's good. In fact, I already tested it. So the tool runs, so we know that we got something that we could probably try and save here. If the tool didn't run, we could look into getting a board or troubleshooting it further. Perhaps somebody fried a motor, which I think would be unlikely on a porta band because the blade would probably start slipping before you could really damage the motor. If the motor took a heavy impact, maybe that would damage it, but none of that appears to be the case in this instance. So let's start digging into this thing and see if we can't start replacing some parts. So one of the first annoying things is this hinged covered door, which is also broken. So I see it's mounted with a piano hinge here. I think we're going to see if we can just drive the pin out of this with a pin punch here and a small mallet and see if we can't get that out. So I did indeed manage to get that stuck, so all I did was took the old adjustable wrench on the hex flats there and twisted and pulled outward at the same time. Came right out. Okay, so we got the shattered remains of this cover here off. We'll see if we can get these drive wheels off and see what see if we can keep getting deeper into her here. Okay, so we're going to continue with tearing this thing down. We got our drive wheels here. We'll just get these apart. Take the fasteners out. Got some washers and stuff in there. Got another one here. Now, underneath here, you can see this is keyed. Here's our keyway and the key actually. And what that's going to do is that's what drives this wheel. So we did get new wheels for this thing. And here's the keyed wheel. The old one's not really atrocious, but when I redo these tools, if the parts don't cost all that much, I just buy all new. And then here's the non-keyed, the new one. So there we go. So now what we want to look at doing here is seeing how all this disassembles off of itself. So it looks like this has a whole bunch of tiny little Torx head screws all the way around this thing. It seems like all of those are indeed holding this plate on, So I think what we want to do is go ahead and buzz all of them off. Probably have to take these guys off here too. That's okay. We just got to figure out how all of it's going to come apart and go back together again, because we got some nice new parts. This piece here was cracked and broken, so we got a new one, but we need to get down to it so we can put the new one in. So bear with us and we'll get there. So we got our T10 Torx on there. We're going to see how these come out. Nice and easy, nothing to them. So we're going to buzz around this thing and get all these out. We'll probably fast forward this footage. Okay, so here we are. We're getting into the meat of her. We can see that they got the wires for the light in the guide here. The guide, which is broken also. And it looks like we got a bunch of fasteners in here holding the handle on, the handle pieces. So we'll just keep on taking some stuff apart here and see how many layers we can get off this thing. Okay, so we got our handle mostly free here. We want to take a look at how the electronics are mounted in all this, because we don't want to... Oh, I knocked the blade tensioning system off here, which is okay. That just sits... It just sits in here anyway. So we can... just sits like this on a little rotary cam dealy. We can take that out. That's an easy one. So we got that out. But we do want to be mindful here on what we got going on for electrical connections. We got a plug here. Get that unplugged. And what else do we got going on here? So we got the motor connections coming through, and it looks like those happen to be crimped. So we're going to have to pull them up and out, and we're probably going to have to recrimp these, which is no big deal. We can easily do that, but we'll have to get to it. Lost our key out of the drive shaft. Don't want to lose that permanently, so we'll put it there on the pile of stuff. But let me get some stuff and we'll cut these and we'll be right back. Okay, so in the interest of trying to keep the wires as long as we can, I think what I'm going to do, see if I can... This style of connector, if you get 90 degrees outside of the way they're crimped, you can squeeze them, open them up, get them open again. So we didn't sacrifice any wire length by cutting them off. And screwing anything up. So there we go. We got that open. Now, because this has already been sprung, I would not suggest recrimping these. Maybe in dire circumstances might be something you consider, but those two there should be going right in the old heave-ho Aroni bucket there. So now that we got our terminations taken apart, we should be able to pull out our wires. So there's our control board. Battery connection, splice there, and our little hookup for the LED. Stick that guy aside for now. So what do we got left in here? We got that piece. We got this here. That looks like it just screws in may have some sort of, I do see that this is a tracking adjustment for the blade. So we can kind of get a little bit of an idea there. See how that's a hex? I think we're going to have to take that apart there, and we'll see what's going on underneath. But we can take this off a while. That's no good. Okay, so we're looking at this here, and it looks like this is just a nut pressed in, and if we push on this, yeah, there we go. So what this actually is a screw, a jacking screw, that you can turn in and out with a screwdriver on the other side here to align the tracking of the drive wheels. So handy thing, but we got to make sure we save that, put that in the other. Okay. Okay, we'll see if we can get this apart. Nothing to it. Get the handle off here. There we go. Handle. And this just presses through the bushing. So we're going to clean all this up, put it back into the new housing. So looking at this, it looks like the entire motor housing is held in with these 3 screws, and it looks like it'll all go out down that way through here. So let's see if we can't get that out. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. This should slide right out, just like that. So the only thing left here is our little metal guide pad there, so that the blade doesn't wear through anything. We gotta get that off of there. Change out our tips on our gun. There we go. So now everything else that's still on here is garbage. So while I got this apart, I think I'm going to take the opportunity to do some cleaning on this, get it ready for another go around. See, this bearing's got some metal shavings all around it. Clean that up, and we'll be back. Okay, so we're doing the old spit shine on this thing. We can see it's cleaning up pretty nicely. And one thing, I'm not going to get into this too far in depth, but one thing you might want to take note of here is this thing is PA66 glass fiber reinforced 50%. There's other guys that know way more about that sort of thing than me. But I do know that 50% is a little higher than the percentages normally seen on stuff. Probably not on gearboxes though. So, and that's what this is. So, just an interesting side note there. And I think we'll take a look at some of the other stuff, but I think it's the percentages in the 30s, and that's just the type plastic that it is, and the percentage of fiberglass reinforcement in it. This, you can hear, has a lot in it without even scraping into it. Just the tone of the plastic, and you just get into that. It has a lot of fibers in there, so just an interesting side note. Not going to dwell on that too much, so moving on. We got our new plastic housing here. I think what we'll start with is nice and easy. the motor in. So here we go. These are the screws that were in it. Now we'll want to crank this up as hard as it can go and just give it as much as possible and strip these right out. Now we're just going to stop. Just like that. Okay, so now we can snake these wires in here. Get them kind of trained. Just like that. Put this guy back in. I gotta say I like this hydraulic impact gun. I personally don't think it hits as hard as the other ones. And I kind of like that for doing stuff like this. It feels like I have a little bit better control. Maybe it's just psychosomatic, I don't know. But I don't really think these hit as hard as the other impacts. Okay, so we do have a nice new handle for this thing. And we're gonna put that in. So this is just a little rotary cam, and this is essentially keyed. That goes into there, and the screw retains it on there. So there's not a whole lot to this, other than you push this through here, and you push this onto here. And put the screw back in. And I'm not going to kill this, I'm just going to get it snug. There we go. So now, we got that. Pin can go back in there. Now, what this needs to sit in is that screw that was captured with the nut. Now I'm not going to readjust any of it. I'm actually just going to try and press this back in and see if the adjustment works as it was. So this is just designed to go flush like that, and the way the plastic's made, it captures the nut. So now this, like that, and the spring tension will hold it in place. And we'll take our trigger assembly, set that aside for now. So next, what we really want to do is we want to get our new handle mounted here. And it appears as though this has a dovetail configuration to make it a little stronger. So you can see the notches here and the mate for that here. So I didn't notice that when I took it apart, but that goes on like that. And then these have pegs that stand proud that capture this. So that's all there to try and help hold all that together. Kind of curious they used a Phillips fastener for one fastener on this thing. Okay, so now we got our handle on. Now we can look at putting our trigger set in. So we have two groups of wires. We have the plug connector for the battery, or I should say the LED. And then we have these connectors that we pulled off before. So now all this stuff goes through here. Now when I got this, none of it was really together, so we'll just have to take a minute here and figure out the best way that all this board stuff goes the right way into this handle. So we'll be back. Okay, and we're back. So I think we got everything mostly set here. We got the board set here with the LEDs. This is going to be a little tricky here to get the cover on, but I think we'll get through it. We got the trigger set mostly where it needs to be. We have our lock here. Don't want to forget putting those in. And we got the batteries part placed. We also have all of our wiring through. We'll take a look at that in more detail later. So now we'll see if we can struggle this cover on. Like I said, this white wire here is going to be the one that's going to be the problem, I think. We're going to have to struggle that past. I don't think it's supposed to go underneath anything. I think we just got to struggle it through there. So there we go. We got her mostly set here. Let me get some screws in it before I lose everything. Alright, we'll be back. Okay, we're just buzzing some screws in this thing because we got it. Okay, so there we go. Back together. Our lock is working. So we got safety on there. I'm a fan of having the safeties on cordless tools because they can, when you have the batteries in them, you can accidentally pull the trigger. I'm a fan of setting the lock on a cordless tool, just a extra measure of precaution. I'm not a huge fan of these spring-loaded locks that have come out recently on some of these. I have muscle memory to put the lock on when I'm done with the tool, so I don't know. To each their own on that. I guess I see where it's going, but it's an annoyance thing for me personally. Now, to take a look at what we got going here, we got our wires that we know about from before. These just get respliced onto to these. And this is our guide for the roller guides for the blade. This assembly was broken before, so we got a new one for this one. And I only have one screw in it right now. And what we'll do is we'll continue putting the wiring together here, and then we'll start putting the back plate on and all that other stuff. So we'll keep going here. So this is just a plug arrangement. Nothing hard about this. Want to make sure the plug's in. Just like that. We want to lose the extra wire, but I want to get these past here first. And laying somewhere out of the way. This guy we can get jammed in here. It all goes in here somehow, some way. So let me struggle with this and we'll be back. Okay, here we go. We got a nice new crimp connector here. And what we'll do is get these crimped on. Try not to drop them everywhere. And since this is all really tight in here, get that on as far as we can. We'll use our ever favorite but ever suffering crimp connector here. I shouldn't say suffering. This thing's done a lot of crimping for me over the years. Doing the old tug test. Now this wire was tucked up the other way here. The connector was jammed like that. With that closed in very carefully. Very carefully. Push down straight on the insulation, always perpendicular and not too hard. You don't want to break the insulation, you just want to push on it. And now we'll make up the other wire connector. Twist our wires in shape. Get a nice twist started there. And put that connector on. Same deal with our crimper. Give them the old tug test. And we'll do the same thing here. Jam our wire into the holding clips for it. Now that we've got that all established, we can get this routed somewhat where it may or may not actually stay. This thing wants to be a spring. There we go. You probably can't see a thing. Alright, there we go. So we got our wiring all basically put in place now. So, next, since we're wired, we want to get our metal plate back on. We don't really have anything else to do in here. So let's get all the wiring covered back up. Just like that. I am going to wipe this down quick, just because I have it all apart. So we'll be right back. Alright, and we're back. So, we got this in place. We'll just buzz all these screws in, nothing overly exciting. Remembering that the 4 with different heads were around here. Okay, so we're starting to get somewhere now. This plate's here to give this some added rigidity. And we can see how that does that. It's just bent with some tabs here. And it won't want to bend this way much at all. Some nice little addition there. And we already got one screw in this to hold it all together. We did that off camera, but we'll get the others in now. Here we go. And the front two are shorter and have Loctite on them. Just like that. So there we go. Got that all together. And this has the extra piece on it here to keep this jaw from getting wonky. This saw, somebody had probably dropped it and broke all this stuff. This whole bottom part was busted off. So that was really what we had to mainly replace on this. Now, I guess since we're up here, let's see if we can put the motor cover back on it. This too was busted off when I got the saw. So this is just a cover. Should just sit on here. Just like that. So I realize I don't have the screws for this because the other one was missing. So we'll come back to this, but that'll sit on there just like that. Now we're gonna move over to putting the drive components back on. We have this washer here for the back drive. We have our key. It goes in the keyway. We'll have our drive wheel. Have our spacer washer. Have our washer for the screw here, and we'll just for now hand tighten the screw. And we have a similar arrangement up here for the top. We have the spacer for the drive wheel. I believe there was two on this, so we'll do that again. Had the drive wheel itself, this washer, helps if I put it in frame. So we had the washer, a spacer, drive wheel, another washer, and then our washer, metal washer, and fastener. And we'll just hand tighten that as well. That's got Loctite on it, so it doesn't want to go in. There we go. Tighten that one up. And we'll tighten that one up. Double check that everything works as it should. So now we got the basis of everything here. All that we have left is the blade cover here, and some pins, which are right here. Hold this on like a hinge. push them in. Not overly difficult, at least it shouldn't be, hopefully. That one doesn't want to go in as much. Could be from the camera angle. Let's get our favorite little topping thing here and there we go. Got our hinge in place. Works good. We just need to put our latches on. Here's our latch. Okay, so we just got to put the tabs in, which is going like that. And they retain. And the cover will close just like that. So I think all that's left is to look for some screws for this. We got to see what kind we need, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I think I found something that'll work here. Let's give it a go. Sure looks like it'll work. Okay, so now we got that on. All that's left now is to find a blade and see if it works. Put a blade on. Just make sure the battery's out of the tool before doing this. You don't want to have a unfortunate mishap. Or if it is a corded tool, make sure the cord is unplugged. Sounds obvious, but do it. And there we go. Now, see if it runs. Sure does. And it seems to be tracking reasonably well. So what we'll do is try this out a little bit. You can see it looks pretty good here at the top. So we'll run her a little bit, see how she does. Close this back up. There we go. Oh, I do see something here. Don't have the fancy light diffuser. Okay, so we had one that we got off the old one, but unfortunately all the sticky came off with it. So we're going to try and glue this one on and not glue my fingers on at the same time. A little too much glue. Awesome. Just gotta let that sit. And through the magic of time, here we go. Good as new. Okay, here we go. So you may recognize this piece of metal from other such hit videos as Milwaukee Straight Grinder and Milwaukee Straight Grinder Vintage Restoration. So, here we go. We'll do a quick cut. See how this thing works. Safety glasses on. So there we go. We're through. And this is 1/4 inch thick plate. So that was a bit of a workout for this little thing. And I think it did good. I think it did a nice cut. We'll do another cut here, see what we get. There we go, cut through again, not too much trouble. Like I said, 1/4 inch thick steel, and this is probably a good, this is just about the capacity of this saw on 1/4 inch thick plate, so you could hear the motor laboring, and I'm not really surprised by that, because it's not a huge motor on this thing. This is probably definitely around what the capacity idea of this saw's meant for. But there we go, we fixed another one up. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.